up, you guys? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of Miami. This is season 5, episode 13. So let's get into it. It was a pretty decent episode. Not much happened until the end, but let's get into it. All right, y'all. So the episode opens up and we see Julia and Adriana at a Botanica, basically a crystal shop. And Julia has the bright idea to give everybody crystals as, like, a kind gesture and a gift for while they are in the Bahamas. So the consultant that was there, she was basically telling them, like, oh, this is for this. You can give this to this person, this to that person. And she was giving away affirmation rocks. And the rocks basically had like different sayings like peace, joy, happiness, love, and stuff like that. And then the consultant was like, oh, here's some mug root in there. And they put it down in the bag. And I guess that's to ward off negative energy. So I was like, okay, that's a nice thing to do. We then have a scene of Alexia and Frankie, and she's packing and Frankie is walking around her, and they're just talking, and we find out that their dad has recently got out of jail, and pretty much he's been trying to make an effort to connect with them. Now, if you know what I know, like I've been seeing online, he going back to jail, so it is what it is. That man don't know how to act right. So we're like, okay. We then have a scene of everyone at the airport, and we find out that Marisol supposedly tested positive, so she can't come on the trip. Nicole's not that bummed about it because we know they don't really have the best relationship. And Nicole brings up what happened last season when they were in New York and that big blow up. We then see everyone pile into the Sprinter once they get to the Bahamas, and Larsa's braids are a fool. They are a fool. Just like Gertie's braids are a fool. I didn't like neither one of their braids. But we know why it's okay for Gertie to have them. Larsa is culturally appropriated. The fact that you got to be like, well, my grandmother's Moroccan. Girl, when I wear braids, I don't have to justify it to anybody. The fact that you have to go all the way back to my grandmother's Moroccan, so it's okay, says all that needs to be said, girl. And then I don't know why Gertie decided to have crochet braids in her head being in the Bahamas. And I mean, like, I get it, they're only down there for like a weekend, but I'm like, girl, crochet gonna get messed up the moment you hit that water. Why would you do that to yourself? So neither braids was hitting for me, but I was with Gertie when she said Larsa braids look heavy. They do. They look heavy and uncomfortable. So they get to the resort. It's beautiful. It's a lovely property. And Nicole did her thing. Nicole did her thing with organizing this. In the presidential suite, it's going to be Nicole, Lisa, and Gertie. And it's a 2-story presidential suite. It's fire. And then everybody else's rooms were just as nice. They just weren't 2 stories, but they were just as nice. You have Alexia and Marisol were supposed to be bunking up together. Marisol's on FaceTime Alexia showing Marisol the room on FaceTime, and it's great. It looks like an apartment, like a really nice apartment. Then you have Julia and Adriana paired up, and it was nice too. Like, they even had a mini movie room. I said, come on, movie room. And then Kiki and Larsa are together, but everybody's rooms look nice. Like, nobody got the short end of the stick. They did a callback in the presidential suite where they had Adriana get in the tub, and that's when I really was like, I ain't like Adriana last season, because I was just so annoyed with her in that scene. But she ain't been that bad this far this season. But I just want to give kudos to Nicole. Nicole did that. And what's crazy is a lot of people were online comparing all the trips that happened on Miami versus what happened on Potomac, and they are vastly different, because the Potomac girls went to Miami and got Subway sandwiches and was on paddle boats. Mind you, the Miami girls went to Key West and were in a beautiful resort for the weekend. Then you have the Potomac girls going to Mexico, and it looked like a trip off of Groupon. But then you have these women going to Bahamas for just like 4 or 3 days for like a 3-day weekend, and they living in luxury. And it's just like, wow. And the thing about it is, like, we know the girls on Potomac don't have it the same way as the girls on Miami, but we can't act like production doesn't also help everybody. People have exposed that production will foot the bill for better trips or proper rooms if need be, if it fits the narrative that they're trying to push. So it's like if production really wanted to help out the Potomac girls, they definitely could, because to have these two shows going on at the same time and to see the vast difference in wealth, and everyone from each franchise is supposed to be seemingly on the same level. There is always going to be people who have more depending on what area they live in, but the glamour is supposed to be there. The luxury is supposed to be there in some way for every like franchise, and we don't get that on Potomac. So I'm gonna need them to step it up. So we see Lisa finally get there because she didn't ride with everybody. She's excited to be there. We find out that Logan, her son, is having a real hard time with with his parents getting a divorce. You know, he was screaming that he'll never get married. He's having trouble going to school. And it's sad because getting a divorce is hard, even though it's most of the time it's a good thing for the people involved, but it is stressful on the kids. And Logan is old enough to know what's going on and feel the different things happening around him. He's probably just overwhelmed and scared and unsure of everything because now his world is being turned upside down and this is his new normal, and he probably just don't really like it. So I feel bad that he's going through that. We find out that Lenny's not even living in the house anymore. So it's a big shift for Logan. A big shift for him. So we see all the girls get ready to go to the pool. We find out at the resort they have like the really nice, cool, big tube slides. They also have like the boogie boarding kind of surfing thing, which seems like a fun thing to do. And so it's Alexia, Nicole, Kiki, and Gertie decide to get on one of the tube rides, and everybody else kind of like chickens out and was like, nah, I'm good, I don't want to do all of that. And Alexia calls them the Golden Girls. They go into the confessional. Larsa is saying she don't know what the Golden Girls are. I said, how old are you, Larsa is damn near 50. Who don't know who the Golden Girls are? Who don't know who the Golden Girls are? Like, how you not know who the Golden Girls are? Like, girl, I am several decades younger than you, and I know who the Golden Girls are. Like, you don't know who Blanche, Rose, Sophia, and Dorothy are? How you not know? I know she lying. Because the Golden Girls are like one of like the pop culture staples. And if Larsa is so upset, like Larsa was with the Kardashians, I know for a fact they know who they are. So she lying. She got to be lying, girl. Don't play with me. Do not play with me. I was like, how you not know who the Golden Girls are? Like, Larsa and Adriana are the Blanches of the group. Like, girl, you is Blanche. Don't play games. Don't play games. So we see them get on the tube ride. They're having a good time. I didn't understand why they had their hats on still. I was like, you're not worried about that flying away, but they were having a good time. We see Kiki get on the little boogie boarding ride. And so while they're running around the actual resort doing the different like activities that they have, you see Julia, Adriana, Larsa, and Lisa having a conversation. Lisa's pretty much like just looking at all the dads with their kids and feeling some type of way because she's just like, my kids are having a rough time. And you see Adriana's like, Lisa, you got to stop doing that. And Adriana pretty much is trying to be like, girl, it's gonna be okay. It's easier for men to cut off their feelings, but it's hard for us because we linger on the family and the I love you. For some men, it's just easy for them to just be like, I'm done, and move on. And then we see Adriana in the confessional where she's basically like, it's happened to me twice and it's a sucky feeling and you feel unloved, undesirable, unwanted, but eventually you get over it. As time goes on, you realize that you are and you don't need that person anymore. Julia also explains like she's been there before. It feels like someone's stabbing you in the stomach and just constantly turning the knife, but eventually you get through it. We then see all the ladies getting ready to eat dinner that night. They pan to Larsa's braids. And I'm like, Larsa, you look a fool. You look a fool. And on top of that, I'm like, I'm saying this more so like the cultural appropriation. I'm not even worried about that. We know what Larsa gives. But I'm talking about hair health in my mind, because even in the black community, braiders will tell you if your hair is very fine, you should not get braids, because braids will strip and pull out your hair. Larsa has fine Euro, like, she's Lebanese, so I'll say Lebanese hair that is not meant for actual braided hair to be touching your regular hair. Like, if she would have just had her own hair braided, I'd have been like, okay, girl, do you. But for you to add braiding hair to your hair, you are probably breaking off your hair. You know how many times I done seen ivory palm colored people on TikTok put braids in their hair, and then when it's time for them to take them out, it is massive clumps of hair coming out their hair. That does not happen when you get braids as a black person. You might have a ball of hair, but that's shedded hair, and you're supposed to shed 100 hairs a day. But you're not supposed to have like piles and piles of hair. And that is what Larsa's I know Larsa lost some edges. She got a bald spot somewhere in that head. She got one. So while they're at the table, they're all playing the games. Nicole decided to do like a card game. So the first question that's asked is that Lisa pulls is like, who watches the most like crazy adult film content? And she points out Adriana. Adriana's like, nah, y'all, I'm real, like, I'm very mom and daddish, sometimes a little DP. And everyone at the table's like, girl, DP is not, that's not like, that's not average. What are you talking about? And then Julia's like, what's DP? What's DP? And I kind of felt bad because nobody was answering her question. They was like, Google it. And she was like, what's DP? And I'm like, maybe someone should have said double P. But either way, I'm like, girl, it was funny. It was funny. It was massively funny. Then we had the other question was, have you ever got hurt while like having sex? And Nicole's like, she pulled a muscle in her neck, giving a little, slappy toppy to Anthony. And everyone was like, you should have sued him. You should have sued him. I said, Nicole, what was you doing down there, girl? What was you doing, sis? Like, wow, you was doing a lot. You was doing a lot. I was weak. So they were having like a good time. And then Julia decides to pass out her stones. And, before she could like give them to everybody, I guess that sparked a comment in like trigger something in Alexia, where Alexia was like, oh, Marisol says she feels like someone put like a root on her, a brujeria. And everyone was like, what, girl, what you talking about? She said, no, she feels like somebody put it on her. So then the camera pans to Julia and Adriana, and they were like, everyone was like, girl, no. So then Julia gives everybody their like gifts that she wanted to give them that she got from the Botanica. And Alexia's like, girl, I'm a receive this, but don't be going to no Botanica and trying to buy me nothing. She said, sis, I believe in good and evil. Like, you're going to a Botanica. That's where people get their stuff for brujeria. You might put something on me. I don't need you thinking about me while you there and then negative spirits come. I said, girl, Alexia was like, it's freaking me out, but I'm going to receive it. And she really did. I will give Alexia a point. Y'all know Alexia has been a menace this entire season. But in this moment, she was giving a fake smile, but she was really trying to receive it. And you can't really fault people. If people are uncomfortable with certain things and they're superstitious, you just got to give them that. But she was respectful. That's why I don't have an issue with it. But after that, they all end up like leaving the table, and then we see them for the next day. So I forgot to say this. Before they left the table, we find out that Adriana's dude, the guy that everyone thought was married, has kind of like ghosted her and wasn't really talking to her. And while they were at the table, you hear Alexia say underneath her breath, bueno, like good, like he's a horrible person anyway. And you see Adriana be like, okay, bitch. And I was like, oh, I said, y'all is messy. So while like it's the next day, It's the next day, and we see a few of the ladies go do flamingo yoga, and the other ladies go get back massages. Now, the cool things about flamingos is, their kneecaps are backwards. I always thought that was cool. Their kneecaps are back. That's why they're able to stand first the way they stand, but the knees are on the back, not the front. Back, not the front. I think that's kind of cool. Cool animal fact for today. But we see it is Alexia, Kiki, Nicole, and Gertie. And they're sitting down and they're talking. And Nicole basically asks Alexia, like, were you uncomfortable? Or did you, like, about what Julia did? Because they talked to me this morning. Basically, Julia and Adriana came to Nicole about the whole situation, and they felt like Alexia was trying to accuse them of doing witchcraft on Marisol. And Alexia was like, no, it's just I was uncomfortable. And she was like, I knew they was gonna feel that way when I mentioned it, but like I didn't think of it that way. I thought it was like a nice gesture, but like that stuff does freak me out. I am superstitious. She was like, I don't need you going to some place. I do believe in the evil eye. I believe people can sometimes even put that on you without even knowing. And she brings up how, I'm married. I have like my husband and my family. And she was like, Adriana doesn't have that, but she wants that. But even though she says she's happy for me, there could be negative feelings there that I just don't know about. And then that could be casted on my relationship. So it just made me uncomfortable. And I was like, I can give Alexia that. I can give her that. While we see the other ladies going to get a massage, which is Larsa, Lisa, and Julia, and Adriana. Adriana starts talking about how she feels about Alexia and Marisol. She basically feels like Alexia and Marisol pretty much kind of like ghosted her or ousted her out their group. They used to be really close. Alexia and Marisol attended her wedding. I think they were in her wedding. I don't know. I think they were in her wedding. But they came to her wedding when she got married. She said they really didn't even reach out to her after she got her divorce from her husband. And she said she's just been feeling like they constantly coming at her. She also says she doesn't like the fact that they said that she's mysterious, when it's like, I'm mysterious because you guys don't put effort into really getting to know me anymore. And while that's going on, Larsa's just sitting there listening. And you could tell Larsa's like, girl, I don't know. And when in Larsa's confessional, she pretty much says, Alexia is a good friend. She's there for you when you really need her to be. She just feels like Adriana likes to victimize herself, and it is what it is. All right, y'all. So the last part of the episode, we have the women going to a part of the resort that is no kids allowed. So it's like just an adults only club. Really nice area. We see them toast to, like being there and having a good time, and how they're having such a wonderful time so far. We find out that Larsa told Alexia about what Adriana said. So Alexia's like, okay, I'm gonna have to confront Adriana. We then have a scene where Julia pulls Gertie aside and they have a moment. Nicole comes where Julia tells Gertie about her wanting to adopt, and Gertie is like, oh my gosh. And I guess it was a way to show how far their relationship has gone since what happened last season, when there was that big blow up between Julia, Adriana, and Gertie, when they were sharing about the infant tragedies that they had. So I was like, okay, that's nice, cute. So we have a situation where Alexia and Adriana finally talk, and Alexia is like, girl, I don't know why you feel that way about me, and saying that I haven't been there when I don't feel that way about you. And pretty much what it boils down to is they both feel kind of like slighted by each other. Adriana feels like Marisol and Alexia kind of just kicked her out of the group and they don't really check up on her, as well as she feels like they both kind of egg each other on. So if like Marisol says something, Alexia takes it and bolts and like runs with it, and vice versa, kind of like they both like put a battery in each other's back. But I feel like the same can be said about Julia and Adriana. Like when Julia doesn't like somebody, Adriana doesn't like them. When Adriana doesn't like somebody, Julia doesn't like them. And we saw that in Julia this season with her disinviting Kiki after the whole situation that happened on the boat. So it's like two things could be true. And then Alexia's whole thing is like she feels like she was replaced by Julia. So they're both feeling kind of some type of way, but they were almost at a common ground point. And then you hear Marisol pull up with a blowhorn talking about, what's up? And everybody was like, oh girl, what's she doing here? Everyone was like, what is she doing here? So we definitely know that's going to shift the mood of the group, because the mood seemed very light without Marisol being there. But, you know, we got to show the film. So we got to have drama. We got to have drama. But yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. Remember to be bravely authentic and hop down in them comments below. Deuces.